Hello everybody, it is Corey at Gemini Guitar, and today we're back for some acoustic, and this is some melancholy or sad sounding acoustic strumming. It's a relatively easy pattern, but what gets most people is the fact that it's in a swing rhythm, so it's got a sort of a bouncy feel about it. So we're going to be learning some fairly straightforward voicings, but it's that strumming pattern that you're going to want to master in this lesson. So first up, we'll take a look at the basic chords. The first one is just a really easy G chord, and to do that you'll only need your third finger at the 3rd fret on string 6. You want to make sure you mute the 5th string with the underside of that finger. We're aiming to play down to about string 2 here. Okay, the next voicing is a Jeff Buckley-esque type of thing. It's an E minor add 9. And you'll find that one in Lover You Should Have Come Over off the Grace album, which is highly recommended. Check it out. So to do that, we've just got middle at fret 2 on the 1st string, and then we've got our first finger at fret 2 on the 4th string. Here you're going to want to mute the A string, the 5th string, with the tip of the 1st finger. And finally, the last voicing is a nice easy C major 7, the dreaded C we don't have to worry about, literally, that C note there. So we've only got our middle and 3rd fingers down. And you want to make sure that string 6 is muted with the tip of the 3rd finger, just up there. So as far as a basic strumming pattern that we can use here, I'm not going to go into the nuances that I employed, but I am going to show you just a basic thing that you can practice and then master that, and then you can basically come up with your own variations. Bear in mind that once you get good at strumming, it's often about the hits and the misses. So leaving out certain strums or adding in a couple more often proves the difference between something that's relatively enjoyable to something that may be a bit, bland and boring. So this is what it's going to look like at normal tempo on the G chord. So I'm employing a repeating rhythm. I'm starting with a down strum, and then I'm going to leave the hand down for the next up. So it's... And then I think there's another down and up after that. Let's have a listen. Yes, and then another down, which is where we'll end on that fragment. Well, it's the end of the fragment. So a bit slower, it'll look and sound like this. So what's going to happen then is we're going to repeat that again. So I'll just show you that slower tempo. So it's being played 3 times. Now after that, what we do is we just hit the down strum a few times to progress then into the next chord voicing. So that's a nice simple variation that can be used, and it works effectively here. So let's listen to the whole bar on G. Now what's going to happen then is we're going to split the pattern we just looked at between the E minor add 9 and the C major 7 chord. So it looks like this. So to break that down, roughly half's being played on the E minor add 9 and then the rest on the C major 7. Now what you've got to remember is generally when changing between chords, it's a good idea on the last, it's normally on the up strum, when you're doing, faster strumming patterns, or more frequent strumming patterns, you might say. It's a good idea to come off the, or at least release the fingers from the fretting, and that way then that gives you a little bit of time just to get into the next chord. So for example here, watch how I change from E minor add 9 into C major 7. Notice how I took my fingers off at that point on the up strum so that I can get ready and get into the C major 7 chord. It's not that you don't have to do this, but what I find is if you don't, it sounds kind of robotic and awkward. So I find it's got a much more human and more organic type of feel to it if we do it this way. So anyways, there were a few variations I was employing. For example, for the G chord, rather than just sticking to the simple version, we can use the slightly more complex version, not very much, but a little bit. And what I do here is I'll use 3rd and 4th finger. So you just got your 4th finger here, along with that finger. Sounds like this. And then what I did was added a little bit of a melody there at the end on the 3 down strums. So I went and then took the 4th finger off, middle goes to fret 2 on string 1, then the open E string. So it's like. So when we get to the E minor add 9, because we're emphasizing that added 9th, it's got a really nice, cool sound about it. And what you can also do is, if you want to make it a little bit more challenging, is employ the natural C chord, the C major chord there, without the major 7 in there. So you'll have your 1st finger down along with the other 2 fingers. And if you wanted to, you could add a little bit of a melody at the end there as well, like this. So you could go. So you're hitting that C note, emphasizing that, taking it off, hitting the open 2nd string. Then you can use the A note on the 3rd string at fret 2. So it's then returning into the G. So just simple things like that add a little bit of color to the scheme of things, which is really cool. So I think that was about it. There may have been just another subtle voicing you could employ. I like this one a lot actually. So use the simple G chord, but you can put your middle finger down at fret 2 on the 3rd string. So what you can do with that is you can have it down for a bit. And then what I like to do is I'll slur hammer from the open 3rd back into that note. So it sounds like this with the chord. And then you can go off again. So it's something like that. So it's just open 3rd, open 4th. So there's really a lot of cool things you can do with it, and I'm sure once you've mastered this simple idea, you'll be able to then come up with your own variations on it. So that's about it for today's lesson. Hope you've enjoyed it, and if you want to support the channel, you can do that just by purchasing any or all the products over at the download store, link below the video. And until the next lesson, bye for now.